everybody? It is another Behind the Mask, and this one is going to be a little bit different than what we actually typically do here with me and Danny on the show. We're going to dive into some behind the scenes and creative stuff, but not with a writer or a filmmaker today. We are going to be talking with the designer of the Art the Clown popcorn bucket, the one that is taking everything by storm. If you haven't heard of it, I don't know what rock you're living under and watching this show, because you should know about this bucket. We've talked about it a lot. It's been all over social media and everything else. But the designer that is on the show, he has designed stuff for Star Wars, Marvel. My God, half of my collection here is from this guy. Look at this. Look at this. This is amazing.
Oh, I'm getting some of that. I'll tell you what, man. I love that. I'm getting some of those.
Danny, every time that I say I'm done collecting popcorn buckets because they take up a lot of space, I see a design that comes out and I'm like, I gotta go get it.
Yep.
I have to go get it because, you get this here and it's like, yeah, that's gotta be in the collection. And,
yeah, I'm the same way.
And it turns out it's all from the same person, which we're going to meet shortly. But Danny, how are you doing? What's up? What's going on?
Nothing much, guys. What's going on? Just traveling as always. Always trying to make time for Nerdbox and Dave here, and love our guests as always. I'm super excited about it. Like we announced last time, right now we're in a little bit of a hiatus for my film due to conflicts of schedule, which again, it's so close to finishing, guys. I'm super excited. So is my actor. He actually was very, very upset that he had to, cut his hair and do whatever. But once he has all that done, we'll be back on the ball. And like Dave said here with the popcorn buckets, same thing. Popcorn buckets just take too much space. And when it comes to certain things, I have to grab them. So I was just explaining that my Miles Morales and my Spider-Gwen popcorn buckets are literally in my case with my comic books, with my pops and whatnot. And I'm super excited for our next guest here, because some of those stuff that you just saw here, especially that Deadpool, it's going in my collection. I promise you it's going to go to my collection. If he makes an anime one, you already know it's done.
All right. So not only has he worked in the movie industry, but he's worked on gaming. He's worked on music. So let's welcome from Snapco, right after our credits, it's Christian Chex Hernandez.
What's going on, guys?
Hey,
What's going
welcome.
on?
Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me. Very exciting stuff.
Oh, yeah. It's exciting to have you on the show because, it's been a journey to get to this point. And then, for us to connect like this, oh, man, it's like a checking off something on the bucket list for me.
Well, I cannot have done any of this without you, Nerdbox, your fan community. I mean, honestly, to just start from the beginning, Art the Clown popcorn bucket wouldn't be where it is if it weren't for the change.org petition that you put together. It flew across my desk. I had a friend over at NECA, shout out to Blaine, forwarded me that and was just like, do you know about this? And I was like, I do now. It was very fresh. It was a very small, number at the beginning, but it was enough to excite me and show the audience at my work what the potential could be for this. And it was the amount of ammunition I needed to convince everybody to at least give this a shot and to try to pursue Damien and try to, take this to the next level, because the fans demanded it. We had proof that the fans wanted something like this. I'm a fan myself. So, just to kind of be in this world of, making sure that the fans are heard is a very important thing to me as a designer. I always want to make sure that whatever I do, be it, the Scream bucket, Pennywise, Beetlejuice, no matter what, there it is. There's an angle that is in it, most importantly for the fans. It's not a merch play when it comes to me. I'm not just trying to be like checking it off the list as something, you know, the next merch item for you to buy. I want it to be something special, and Art the Clown deserves its place alongside all of the greats. And I think this year, with Art the Clown being in Terrifier 3, being this high production indie movie, it's like, oh, holy crap, okay, let's give you your flowers however we can. And I feel a popcorn bucket is the least I can do. So the fact that you guys put it out there and brought it to my attention, and Snapco in general, we can't thank you enough. And honestly, we're just excited at the fan response. So far, it's been very exciting.
Well, I have to say, being a fan, not having talked to you before through communications, but being a fan of this franchise and what you guys are doing with the no limit order on this popcorn bucket is huge and special.
Yeah.
Because what we've seen as fans is Terrifier fans have brought down the Funko website when they announced the Funko Pops.
Yeah.
The second release on them, they sold out within less than a minute. There's people standing in lines for these popcorn buckets at 4:30 in the morning at my theater. So you have made it possible not only to get the fans the buckets, but we're also kind of giving the boot to some of these scalpers that are taking advantage of everybody's love for these movies and then tripling the price online. So you guys are doing a major service to everybody.
Absolutely.
So thank you, and thank you to Snapco.
Hey, we appreciate that. And you know, and honestly, that came from a lot of necessity for just the schedule. You know, you said it in your petition. You did some research, you looked into the timelines, and these timelines take a long while. You know, sometimes it's the best timeline for us is a year out. That's always going to be where we want to be. That's going to be a comfortable timeline to sort of build something up. And by the time we got into Terrifier, he was done. The movie was over. It was, you know, this isn't typically where we want to be. We want to sort of be right when the movie's sort of wrapping and we can get some assets and communication with the studio, but we knew the timeline was going to be tight. So there's only two real options to do. It's either try to come up with something clever like a pre-order campaign where you eventually get it, but we're going to do it, or we just don't do it. And that, to me, with this sort of response that we were seeing, didn't feel like a good option. It just didn't feel like it was something that should be ignored. And we pushed for it, and we did our due diligence. We have a great team of people that tracked down Damien's people, and we found a way to get in contact and make it happen. And honestly, with little to no assets, we had the original teaser. That was the Art the Clown and the kid Santa, you know, that's all we had. And Damien basically said, I'm okay with it. If you're willing to come up with some concepts, shoot them at me. So being the fan I am, I dropped everything and started drawing, and I think we shot over concepts maybe the next day, just as many as I can come up with. And you know, there was many angles we chose. Art in Terrifier 2, I can't imagine this is a spoiler to any of your people, but there is a scene at the end where he has a decapitated head, and that was sort of where my mind was originally going. But then the more we sort of kind of discussed internally, it was like, this is a special trilogy that is on a Christmas title. So it's like, how cool would it be if we did a Christmas themed bucket? He's got this great look that he's already teasing in the trailer. And we threw it out there, and for just the way we were able to kind of design it, and I was able to block out the colors in a way that was just easy for us to kind of move it forward quicker. And Damien approved, and the next step was going to be, how do we get this thing sculpted fast enough? And that was another thing that you brought up, is trying to find sculptors. And we have our good team of sculptors, and we have, you know, ways to kind of get things kick-started. I've been dabbling in sculpting and decided to take this one on myself.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So this one was actually all sculpted in-house by myself, and I really wanted to try to make sure that there was that obsessive fan angle to the likeness. I didn't want some sort of like off-branded thing that kind of looked like him, but not really. I wanted this thing as creepy as you can get. So I think there's a lot of surprises for people when they get it in person. You know, you're used to the latex masks, you're used to some of the other things, but this is as close to a sculpture as we can get. So
Wow, you did an amazing job. I didn't know that you fully sculpted too. That's
That
awesome.
is incredible.
you know, thank you. I'm starting to sculpt a little bit more. You know, it's not typically what I do, but whenever I can, I try to inject a little bit of it when I can. And this one was somewhat of a little bit of a passion project for me. So as much as I can touch it as possible, I was all over this project. So yes, that
All
was
right.
fun.
So now that we've nerded out about the popcorn bucket a little bit, let's dive into some questions, right? So can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about yourself, how you began your creative journey? You know, were you always drawing and sculpting in your life, and it just eventually evolved to this?
Yeah, always an artist in some way, always drawing, always customizing everything in my life. You know, if I was gifted a small television, it was spray painted and coins glued all over it by the time the week it was over. You know, I was just that kind of weird kid. It was always something, you know, custom for me. My mom always kept like a pad and pencil in her purse just to kind of keep me calm if I needed to like do something in public. She's like, draw what's in front of you. You're like, oh, okay. And you know, it's just sort of my bread and butter when I was a kid. And I never shook it. I never stopped drawing. I always have a sketchbook on me. There's never, you know, I'm always arm's reach away from something that I can doodle with and get an idea down. And I never really started sculpting until I joined the company and just started becoming obsessed with the process and you know, the gradual creativeness of just drawing comic books, watching cartoons, wanting to be able to draw what I see. Like, you know, can I draw that X-Men comic book cover that I've been obsessed with this whole week? Let me give it a shot. And I tried drawing it. You know, things like that just sort of evolve to be hands-on. And when you start to see other sculptors doing things, you kind of wish you could do it. And you learn the software slowly, and before you know it, you know, you're tweaking professional sculpts and making sure like the arm's a little raised and the muscles a little more defined.
Yeah.
And before you know it, maybe I can just start from scratch, and here we are. Yeah, it's just
Wow.
it's a very gradual process, but the one key that's never ended was just keeping it by my side. They're just making sure that there's always something creative for me to kind of touch, no matter what. If it's not professional, my off hours, I'm always trying to do something too. So
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, that kind of comes up in our other interviews with filmmakers and everything. They always come to that same approach, is just staying at it, being creative all times. And I gotta say, man, you live in the dream. You live in my dream. That's what I used to do all the time too. Always drawing and stuff like that. So it's great to see that this is involved into something.
yeah, never let it go. Always keep it. You know, a lot of people, there's this misconception that it's a waste of time. What are you going to do with art? Like, it's such a risky profession, but the truth is it's not. I mean, everybody's always amazed by the new innovative something, be it a product, an iPhone, or, you know, some new design to a vacuum cleaner. It's like, it all starts with the scat. You know, somebody's sketching and drawing something out. So just, you never know where your passions will take you. And when you're an artist, you know, those types of things, the doors start opening when you have these sort of original takes on stuff that you're interested in. And I feel like a lot of people sort of stop at the sketchbook, but the more you kind of explore beyond, you kind of you get surprised, and you kind of see how cool it is out there to be creative. It's fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean that's super amazing, and I apologize because my camera's frozen. But my ugly mug just staring, death stare. No, so the thing that I love to ask our guests all the time is that when you were doing this as a hobby, you know, as artists, as you said, we love this. We try to do it 24/7, then life gets in the way and whatnot. How did you realize you wanted to pursue this as a career? But then after that, what steps did you take? I always ask the guest that for the audience, because you know, you have people just like you, they're drawing all the time and all this jazz, they haven't gotten an opportunity, they're looking, but you know, maybe haven't found something else. So what steps did you take to get there? So first your realization, then the steps that you took.
You know, the realization really came from a lot of failing at what I was currently doing, which was trying my hardest to be a freelancer and just do anything and everything creative. And you kind of you have to step back when you realize I've been doing this for so long, I'm struggling, and now it's the amount of time it's taking me to find the work is sort of like eating away at how fun this is. You know, it's like I wanted to do art for fun, and for some reason finding the work is becoming more of a job than doing the work. And now, so I started looking around and being like, gosh, I wish there was something else I can do career wise. And as I was looking around, I start to look at a room full of toys, collectibles, and it's filling my house. I mean, it's no matter what I'm doing in life, a collectible, a toy, something fun is always budgeted. No matter where I was financially, I always needed to find a way to get something sort of like that in my life. So it was almost like this weird light bulb went off that I should probably try to see if I can be a part of this world. And it's never occurred to me to sort of try to do anything toy related. So I started desperately building my portfolio to be that. Like, I didn't have toys in my portfolio and I just wanted to see if I could do it. So I started sketching and drawing as much random stuff that could be interpreted as a toy and shooting my portfolio to companies and putting out basically a plea of, hey, I might not have the experience, but I have the passion and I have the drive to want to do this. And Snap really took a chance on me and saw that sort of fandom behind my art. And I think that sort of anybody that wants to get in this industry, I feel the fan base is not going to go overlooked. So if you got like sort of the fan base and sort of that talent to sort of put your ideas forward, we're willing to listen, look, hear you out. You know, that kind of stuff goes a long way for this industry. It's just how do we interpret your idea into something real production, you know? So looking around and seeing like all of my collectibles and then figuring out like, oh, there's a production to this and how it was broken down and assembled and packaging and stuff, you know, it's pretty cool. So
that's awesome. So what was the first step for you to reach out? Like, how'd you find this stuff?
You know, I would say just kind of just doing my research and looking and seeing what was just out there and what was kind of just, you know, getting released. I was sort of, you know, at the time I didn't have really money to be going out to theaters, so I kind of just missed the beginning craze of like these things were a thing. So when I started out, the industry was very much kind of getting, you know, it was ramping up with this sort of product, and I came in right at the right time where my ideas were sort of like, oh, these are, you know, fresh new takes on how we're doing things, and it's very cool. But a lot of it was just old school, like, how do we turn this character into a bucket? How do we turn this character into a cup? Or what's the cool angle that makes this a cool cup or a cool bucket, or, you know, things like that. And coming from a collector's mindset, I wanted to inject that, like, well, it's a bucket, but how cool would it be if it was on your shelf? I mean, these things we started taking note of that. So me and my coworker sitting next to me started noticing Reddit and fans putting these things on shelves, and we're like, you know what? Maybe we lean into that a little bit more and design accordingly. So that helps. Nice. The fans' response always helps.
Yeah, you kick. I'm not going to be modest for you. You kick the doors wide open, because being a fellow collector and collecting lots of stuff that's in my room here, I collected popcorn buckets and cups. I always thought they were a cool little addition. But then after a while, I was like, they're taking up space. I can't really put them out because there's some cool designs. It's nice, but they're all stacked up together. And then this happened, and the cups happened, and they were. I remember Cinemark announces it like a month or 2 weeks before the movie drops, and everybody's on top of it. So like you kind of kick the door open with this bucket here. People traveling across the states to get it. My God, it's just insane. So what is some of your favorite designs, and can you tease anything that may be coming?
You know, I will say, and maybe this is a tease to you, but Ghostface is by far my favorite. That was a legit dream come true, working on Scream and getting that and just finding a way to make that a reality beyond just a popcorn bucket. Is just working with RJ and just Fun World in general, and getting to be a part of that zeitgeist of things that is Scream, Ghostface, and just working officially on something. We took that extremely seriously, and when it fell on my lap, I didn't want to take that mask. It's almost like a sacred mask. It's like, it's not symmetrical, it's a little wonky, it's creepy, and just putting as much love I could into that was something that it meant a lot. And seeing the fans not shy away from what I put forward and rushing and getting it, selling it out, flipping it on eBay, I felt really crazy to see how that was panning out. I did not expect it, and I would say that was sort of where it was a game changer for me and Snap too. It felt like something starting, and we want to keep this going and find ways to inject this love every single time. No matter horror, comic book, kids movie, these fans, this drive to get a part of the movie is going to never go away. If it's a good movie and it's a good experience, somebody wants something to remember it by. Ghostface has been around since '96, and people have been desperate for something official Scream related, and to be able to just deliver that and everybody react the way that they did, I was blown away. So Ghostface, I will do everything in my power to push Ghostface on us till the end of Scream. So I mean, whether or not we get it for the next movie, you better believe that I am putting my absolute best foot forward on that one, and we'll find a way to make that happen. But as far as everything else, some of my favorites have been exactly what you pointed out. I mean, Beetlejuice, talk about, are you kidding me? I mean, when I design these things, I design because I want them. Yeah. Exactly that tombstone. I wanted that tombstone since him playing around, kicking over the tree. I mean, it was just like, that tombstone is the coolest sculpt I have ever seen in my life. And it was sort of like, to be honest, a little behind the scenes was, I really wanted this guy. This is what I wanted. So I wanted the little one because it reminds me of the model. So I was like, I'm going to try to design this. And if we get away with making a popcorn bucket, that's just a bonus to me. And they were interested. So I was like, hey, all right, now we get to, scale it up and really show off the sculpt details. And again, I got to sculpt this one. So this was sort of just, really kind of getting obsessed with the details and really finding a way to make sure that those demon skeletons are what I remember and what the fans remember, and not some like kind of weird version that you kind of got a glimpse and you sketched it and you missed some details. It's like, no, I focused and I tried. So I think fans respond well to that sort of like, oh, this doesn't feel like an afterthought. It's a true fan-made collectible. And I want to make sure that no matter what we put out, you guys are seeing that, the fans are seeing that. And those have been my favorites so far. Just those heartstring nostalgia pulls, Scream, Beetlejuice, and a lot of the new stuff we got coming out. I wish I can tell you more, but a lot of the stuff we're coming out with, I think everyone's going to be just so excited and just collector. It's just I'm excited for everybody and the response we're going to get. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Awesome. Now, Danny and I talk about this pretty frequently when it comes to the movie theaters and the cost of tickets, and the reason why concession stands are so high is because what the studios are doing to the movie theaters. And here you're, like you said, this is a game changer more than just it being a popcorn bucket, but you're actually getting people back into theaters. You're giving theaters profits again. So that's, I don't know if you all ever considered that yourself or Snapco, but it is a huge game changer in the theater industry. So thank you again.
Yep.
Hey, I appreciate that. It's crossed my mind. I've never really gotten any sort of hard evidence if that's the case, but I always sort of, I like to think that there's now, when we grew up, we're all similar age. I think that it's just, these things weren't there, I look back and I think about sort of the old Happy Meals and how they were fully printed, and like you had this like really cool, like something that you can take away, but then you find yourself, it's oil stained from fries, and what do I do with this thing? You throw it away. And it's just sort of like we don't have those things that we used to back when we used to go and see a movie. And I feel like we're tapping into a lot of what we wish we had when we were kids, and now our kids are growing up, and why not give them what they want and give dad and mom a little something to put on display in the office. So I like that the kids sort of have these kind of cool plays, but to give this R-rated Art the Clown play, and it's just a new realm of collectability, and it's a new realm to dive into. And I say rated R, but I mean Art the Clown, I mean, just to think about a popcorn bucket is just like, I mean, you did it for the fans, I'm doing it with you, but I mean, honestly, it's a dream come true to be able to deliver these types of things. It's really cool.
Yep.
All right, man, because me and Dave were talking, so we know there will be a Terrifier 4. So does Dave have to start another petition or what? Come on.
I would say, if anything, start a petition on some cool ideas, help me out with some, fun stuff, because I wouldn't mind hearing what the fans want. And, I wouldn't mind taking that and just, again, listening. And I don't see why it would hurt us in any way to get the fans involved again and say, hey, you know what do we get wrong? What do we get right? What do you want better? What do you want more of? And let's give it to you.